Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Politics, national security, foreign affairs, sometimes some foreign politics. Remember we talked about Israeli politics one day. That is the staple of Cut the Clutter. But if within a period of 10 days I am revisiting the air quality issue in North India, it tells you two things. One, it tells you just how bad things are and how our efforts are failing to improve things. And second, it is also telling us, which is actually good news, that we as citizens have gone up the value chain. We don't accept bad air quality as a given. We think that just as we need clean water, we need good food, we need good medical care, good air is a fundamental right and we need it. Reason I revisit it today again is because now air quality has really worsened. It's much worse than before. Maybe you can also figure that in my voice. And I've only gone out very briefly today, mostly in an air-conditioned car. Still, you can, if you're a good doctor, you can actually hear my voice and figure out that I'm suffering from congestion. Today, suspended particulate matter in Delhi is 18 times the acceptable limit. What is the acceptable limit? According to Indian standards, it's 100 micrograms. It's a bit scientific. It's 100 micrograms per meter cubed, but I will not repeat that all the time. Also, I was never very good at math. But you can imagine how much it is. What should be 100 is 18 times in many places. This is completely unacceptable and this is destroying us. But the important thing is, once again, we are only reacting when it's gotten 18 times worse. The fact is, if more and more Indians, particularly those living in North India, are getting lung cancer at a fairly young age, and that too when many of them have never touched a cigarette or a bidi. About 40% of new lung cancer cases are among non-smokers. Why is that? It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in the 3 weeks when air quality is really bad in November, December, or 6 weeks or 8 weeks. Because after that, if it improves, you still have good air. The fact is, in North India, air quality is bad across the year. Almost 360 days out of 365 days, air quality is at unacceptable levels. Now, what am I doing today? Earlier, I had talked about the stubble burning problem in Punjab and Haryana and how change in cropping patterns for conserving water had led to a shift of harvest timings, which in turn coincided with low wind velocity, stationary winds, etc. So that is one issue. The second issue is the science of smog. Because unless you understand the science of smog, you cannot find answers. You go to a doctor, the first thing is a blood test. So doctor has to see what is your kidney function, what is your liver function, what's your cholesterol, what's your blood sugar, what's your etc., etc., etc. And then you get the full picture and you can start the treatment. Now, how come we don't have this data? We act spasmodically. Diwali, ban patakas. Right? Punjab, Haryana, jail farmers, file cases against them. Delhi, even odd. And yet, air quality is so bad. So, I am doing something very simple today, and this is no big kalakari on my part. This is no stroke of genius on my part. This genius work has been done by IIT-Kanpur. And this study is available with us, and for some reason it is not quoted that much, it is not used that much. People refer to it sometimes, but please read this study. You don't have to read all of it, you can just read the executive summary. If you are scientifically inclined, you can read all of it. It's 334 pages. You can find it on the ThePrint website as well. This is copyrighted by IIT Kanpur, so I acknowledge that and I thank them for this marvelous work. Now, if you read this study, this is the pathology report, diagnostics and also treatment for your smog problem. It's all available. It's a government report. It's a report commissioned by the government. Because remember, everybody says, let's pass a Clean Air Act. I have now realized, even I didn't know until I read this report, that in 1981, you forget things that happened in the past. In 1981, India passed an Air Act. It's called Air Act 1981. It was under that act that this study was commissioned by commissioned to IIT-Kanpur. And how did they do it? They used 6 spots in the city, north, south, east, west, and they chose them, they are scientists, they chose them statistically to cover varying usage of or varying causes of pollution. So one industrial area, one more residential area like Dwarka, one more factory area. So different areas like that were chosen so they can get a proper average. Now what does this tell you? It tells you that PM10, that is particulate matter below up to 10 micrograms but above 2.5 micrograms. And second category is 2.5 micrograms or below 2.5 micrograms. This is the most dangerous because this gets absorbed in your bloodstream. It is so small that your system can't filter them out. PM10 also causes you a lot of problem, but at least your system can filter it out. PM 2.5, your system can't filter out. So if you see in summer and winter, both ranges 4 to 7 times the acceptable level. So suspended particulate matter in Delhi and around is 4 to 7 times higher, 4 times in summer up to 7 times in winter. So we may react on a couple of days when it's 18 times, but the rest of the winter it is 7 times. And the rest of the summer it is 4 to 5 times. So how much of a relief it is? Human beings get cancer and terrible things from this pollution because they are being attacked by it at least 360 days in a year or maybe 355 days in a year. It doesn't happen over 3 weeks. That's why the solutions you arrive at should not be addressing the problem of these 3 weeks or 2 months. They should address the entire year's problem. Then you look at summer and winter. Summer particulate matter 10 is 500 micrograms. Summer average in Delhi. This study says, IIT-Kanpur study, acceptable level is 100 micrograms. Where does bulk of this comes from? Bulk of this particulate matter, that is SPM 10, suspended particulate matter below up to 10 micrograms, this comes, is called crustal component. So this is basically dust and fly ash. And how do the scientists figure it out? Because every particle carries its own chemical signature, its scientific signature. So when scientists put it through, I don't know what they use, spectrometers, spectrographs, whatever, they can figure out where has this particle come from. So these are bulk of these particles contain silicon, alumina, iron, calcium, which means most of it is either road dust or it is fly ash. And that's why if you see the color, the study says color of the skies in the summer, it is whitish and grayish. It tells you the dust is hanging there and fly ash is hanging there. And this accounts for almost 40% of this bad air in the summer. And then you come to other things. If you look at 2.5, which is a smaller particle, which is more dangerous, in the summer it's anything between 300 to 350. Acceptable level, maximum acceptable level is 60. So once again in the summer it's very high, it's 4 to 5 times. It is not acceptable. So it's not as if summers are better, and if you ignore the summers and rest of the winters and only focus on November, December, you will never solve this problem. Even if you improve November, December, rest of the year you will just be feeling better because it's less worse than the winter. Then if you look at the smaller particles, in summer 20% of it is crustal. It comes from dust. So in summer, dust and fly ash are a big thing. You know why? One, because area around Delhi all gets dry, farms get dry in the summer, and summer you have high wind. So these winds churn up this dust, it comes in. And also remember, in the 300 kilometer radius of Delhi, there are thermal power plants that produce anything. At the time of this study, 11,000 megawatts of power, maybe now even more. So in the summer, wind directions being the way they are and winds being heavier, all that stuff flows into Delhi and this region. So that is the problem in the summer. Now winter, the picture changes. Winter, your suspended particulate matter, size 10 micrograms goes up to 600, whereas only 100 is acceptable, of which crustal matter is only 13%. So dust in the winter is only 13%. Dust in the summer is more than 40%. In fact, if you add both particles, it's about 52%. Then you have secondary particles in the winter for PM10, that is 26%. Most of these come from combustion, this combustion carbon, this comes from nitrous oxide, sulfur and many other noxious things. But there is another problem that we tend to ignore, I will come to that, that is called municipal solid waste. So while you fight with the farmer, etc., a city like Delhi, which is so rich, so well provided for, still burns 2 to 3% of its municipal solid waste. That's the garbage that city produces, and that is a lot of garbage. And when that is burnt, that also adds to SPM. So in the summer, it's about 4 to 5% of all our SPM comes from our municipal garbage that is burnt, not disposed of. In the winter, it becomes about 7%. So it's not nothing. And if you then look at SPM 2.5 in the winter, acceptable level is 60. Your average for the winter is 375. That is 6.5 times. So we can do all our breastfeeding right now over 18 times, but the rest of the winter we are in any case living under, and this is averaged out. We are averaged out to 6.5 times. It is killing our lungs. These few weeks are not killing our lungs and our bodies and our throats and our children's growth and their cognitive ability. It is what happens through the year. Remember, 6.5 times in the winter, 4 to 5 times during the summer, that's for 2.5. Of the small particles in the winter, crustal element, that is the dust, is only 3.5%, from about 40% to 50% in the summer. So the same problem, different sources, that's why you need different solutions. One solution will not work. So in the winter, what contributes to your small particles? 28% comes from secondary particles, which is stuff that's flowing in from stubble burning, from all the other burnings. 23% is combustion related carbon, that again comes from burning, and it's not just stubble burning, other burning also goes up. People burn a lot of organic matter, for example, for heating during the winter in Delhi as well. So, and then municipal solid waste goes up to 7%, as I mentioned earlier, in the winter. So if you add all this, then you find that winter becomes much worse than even summer. But the answer is to get a better average through the year. Don't address just the fever, as I said earlier. Address the source of the fever. Address the virus or the bacteria that is causing, or the sepsis that is causing that fever. Now, if you look at this study, tells you that they've studied potassium levels in Delhi's air through the winter, and they find potassium levels are about consistent at 4%. What does it tell you? It tells you that biomass burning continues through the winter. It isn't just because of the stubble burning, or what is called as CRB, that is crop residue burning. Not just that, that means a lot of other burning goes on, and we know people burn for heating in the winter. A lot of the poor burn organic matter on your streets also in Delhi during the winter for warmth, and there is a lot of agricultural waste that is burnt anyway through the season. So, and yet, if you, and once again, if you say maybe that's the case in the summer also, that's not true. the study shows that sulfur content in the air is 30% higher in the winter than during the summer. So remember, in the summer your problem is the dust and fly ash because the weather gets dry and because winds are stronger and wind directions. Delhi actually gets caught in bad wind directions in summer and winter. So in summer this comes from thermal power plants. It also contains a lot of fly ash that we produce in Delhi. Also, I know that we keep talking about Diwali and it's true that Diwali is a problem. So this study also finds that during Diwali the SPM count doubles. In normal Diwali, maybe now patakas are less, and potassium and barium, the two main elements of patakas, their count in our air goes up 10 times during Diwali. So it's a good thing that there's awareness about Diwali patakas now. Now, once again, if you look at the summer and you can see the chart, it will tell you how SPM 2.5, which is our main cause of pain, is divided in summer and the winter. Generally in summer fly ash plus dust will be 26 to 37%. In the winter it's dramatically low, it's just about 3-4%. Again, municipal solid waste burning is about 200 tons a day, 200 to 250 tons a day in Delhi. In winter as well as summer, in winter it goes up a little bit more, I don't know the reason. But then the study tells you about other things. The study tells you that Delhi, and this is 2016, must be more now. In 2016, Delhi had 9,000 restaurants and hotels that use coal in their tandoors. Now, nobody is saying stop getting tandoori roti or tandoori chicken. You can have what you want. But the study recommends that all of these should be shifted to electric tandoors or LPG fired tandoors. There is no need to burn so much carbon because this is contributing big time to the fly ash in Delhi. Second, Delhi is kerosene free technically, but 10% households, and they quote the 2011 census, but maybe it's not 10% but 7%, but that's a lot of households in Delhi still use biomass, that is cow dung, uplas as we call them, or wood or coal, etc. for cooking. That has to completely stop. Maybe that needs a little bit of nudge. So then there is a list of things that need to be done. Everybody should have LPG. There is an 11-point list of recommendation by this study. Get rid of coal in restaurants, at least all the restaurants with seating more than 10, which means if somebody is just having a roadside dhaba with 2 tables, let him be. But the rest have to be shifted from coal to electric or LPG. LPG in all households, no biomass burning, stop municipal solid waste burning. Construction and demolition, big contributor to fly ash and pollution. So once again the study tells you what to do to minimize pollution and fly ash from construction, fly ash and dust and demolition, and also from what is called concrete batching, that is making ready mixed concrete. When those things churn, you find that smoky kind of thing coming out, that's actually fly ash from cement that is spreading. So they talk about masking and covering and putting some very simple technology to reduce that. Then they want vacuum sweeping of our roads 4 times a month during the summer months, because remember in the summer it is the dust. Arvind Kejriwal had promised vacuum sweeping of our roads. Hasn't yet happened. Maybe I see on some Lutyens road occasionally, but not very much. But this has to happen to reduce dust during the summer. There should be carpeting of the shoulders, so less dust is churned up, carpeting, and there should be more grass grown there and more trees. These are very simple solutions. And then of course improving fuel for vehicles to Euro 6 or Bharat 6, Stage 6, DG sets, etc. to have low sulfur diesel. And then the study talks about the urgent need to sulfurization and I would say nitrosization. I'm saying it for simplicity. So basically desoxing and denoxing of power plants in the 300-kilometer radius of Delhi. And of course then stopping crop residue burning. And then the sobering note on which the study ends, it says that if you do all of this, and if you do all of this perfectly, you will still not achieve the minimum quality of air that national standards say we must have. So while the national standards are 60 for SPM 10 and 115 for SPM 2.5, what will you get if you do all these 11 things? It's quite radical to do all this. Even then, it will be 100 against 60 for SPM 10 and 200 against 115 for SPM 2.5. Not good enough, but 200 is better than 1000, right? Or it's much less worse than 1000. If you have to do even better than that, and if you have to get to your desired quality, then comes the central point. Then stop focusing on just Delhi. Then you have to work on the entire NCR, because remember, we in Delhi have a voice and we can make noise. All the TV channels are based in Delhi. All the major media is based in Delhi. Politicians are based in Delhi. Supreme Court is based in Delhi. When it hurts us, we all react. But can you imagine what's happening to people in Jalandhar, what's happening to people in Ghaziabad, what's happening to people in Karnal, in Rohtak? It's a lot of people, Gwalior, in all these areas. So think of this entire region. If you think of the entire region, if you have a plan that addresses these problems through the year scientifically, going by evidence like this, maybe you can get to those desired levels as well. Maybe not in 1 year or 2 years, but you have to get started sometime. The important thing is to get started at any point of time. You can get started today, but don't stop once this 18 times acceptable level goes away, and then settle down to 6 and say this is okay, I have to live with it. Because if you have that approach, Bhagwan teri maya, kahin dhoop kahin chhaya, then you are actually in any case asphyxiating your future generation.